on the more supportive duties, of course, droning in and ensuring that things are going smoothly.
Well, Bolo, as was noted by the desk, had tremendous stats on attack, Nick, but on defense, pitiful. Only a .35 rating. That is well below what you expect of a player of Bolo's caliber. The good news is that TSM has depth. You talked about it yourself. This is the holy trio. Achieved, Merc, and Bolo brought up quite frequently. Don't count out the support players of both Chala and Geo as well. So if Bolo has a bad day, whether it be on attack or defense, there's usually enough depth there for TSM, and that depth was so evident at the 6 Invitational just a couple months ago. So, well, I guess technically 2 months ago, but we're splitting hairs because it's the start of April. Bands coming in right now, Nick, Thatcher and Jackal, the first 2 banned out, Mira banned, and will we see a Valkyrie? Attacker repick, I think, has had a profound impact on the way that operators are banned.
Oh.
But this is as normal as it gets. 3 operators that are so commonly banned, Thatcher, Jackal, Mira, and it's a clash to round it out.
Yeah, and the clash, this is one of the situations where Theme Park is a map that consists of like long corridors and hallways, and if you find yourself faced off with a clash in that situation when you're on the attacking side of things, that's not fun at all. The Jackal ban, of course, targets the roam capabilities that the map offers, so when you're on the defensive side, well, if you're banning out the Jackal, you should try and get active and stall out as much as possible, and we're actually seeing the initiation bomb site being chosen first here from the side of Mirage, which is atypical if we look back in time when we saw Theme Park last being played in Pro Play. This bomb site was rather swiftly kind of pushed out of that top 3 bomb site rotation over time, and now we're seeing it back here in the opening round. I expect this softball, yeah, you see it right there being opened up with the shotgun. We will be extending across from initiation over to bunk beds. You want to take as much map control as possible, both on the attacking side and the defensive side. Otherwise, it's just way too simple to attack it.
There's 2 main ways to attack this bomb site. Number 1 is going to be to take Cafe. That is one of the most common entry points on this map. And you're right. That bunks portion where teams are going to extend over to. Why? Because that's essentially a beachhead up against that Cafe entry. The other way is in down by Cash on the other side of the map. There is a 3rd way, which is dropping that hatch as well. That leads right into initiation if you want to. But those are going to be your 2 main points to get into this 2nd floor. It's entirely possible that teams will want to clear from the bottom floor up. That is something that right now Mirage are accounting for. Razor is down below. So it's a pretty nice spread here on both the floors. But the question will be, to me, how long can Razor hold that map control for? Is he playing to die? Is he playing for intel? A Valk down below almost always signals that there will be a Nitro cell to try and stop the plant. TSM will need to drone them out, figure out where Razor is, and punish him if they want to get the objective down.
And together with that from Mirage as well, right? We see the Thorn being brought up from Marm. That's going to give more information, act as a trap operator that can really, like, when it beeps off, you know somebody's there. Same with Benji, of course, bringing those motion sensors, or beep boops as we call them, further enhancing that Mirage wants to know where TSM are coming from, right? If they walk up a staircase, if they walk into side. And right now, well, they're knocking on the doors from bathroom here. It's going to be a cash attack from TSM's approach right now, and that means, well, Razor, who is roaming in the arcade side of things, will not be enabled, and he will fall first as well as Merc finds him for the opening kill.
The best rated player on TSM heading into this matchup gets kill numero uno, and the black eye cams will persist, but the Nitro Cell is gone. And as we talked about before we got into the match, Razor by far and away the best player on this team. Thomas takes an engagement on the stairs and loses it as Merc picks up kill number 2. TSM have control of this bottom floor, and it gives them that 5v3 advantage. They've got plenty of time to roll with, just over a minute to go, and there goes an Adrenal Surge as well to try and give them a bit more staying power.
And if you're Mirage, I mean, we all know that when Merc gets those opening kills and start feeling himself inside the match and the server, that's really when TSM shines the most, right? When your IGL entry, which is Merc from TSM's side, gets the freedom to just take map control, win the gunfights, and make the callouts when to push up from the rest of his teammates, that's when they're going to get really aggressive, and that's what we're seeing here from Merc.
I'm very curious to see where these Razor Blooms are going to play out. Marmalade, she won't be around, but her gadgetry will be. Benji, the first kill for Mirage. It's not long-lasting because Merc with 4 to his name. He's one away from an ace. All he has to do is find Melted, who the smoke right now on the retreat. And it's the man who has been mentioned the most in the history of the Rainbow Six
Oh, you saw that?
Pro League subreddit, Chala himself, Mr. Appreciation Post. He gets the very final kill, and TSM make that one look really easy. Only a single kill for Mirage in that round.
And this is exactly what we are fearing from the side of Mirage, right? It looks really easy, and it looks, if anything, if you look at their gameplay, it looks very simple and very linear in a sense. And every single engagement that they took that round or lost was a 1-versus-1 engagement. And I know Tomas during the interview said that Mirage is bringing a ton of firepower, but I have to disagree. If we look at teams like OXG, TSM, SSG, they bring a lot of firepower in comparison. So when you're taking one-on-one engagements, well, I would advise you not to, right? Try and get that 2-versus-1 when Merc is down below, roaming around single-handedly. Take 2 players, take him out, then gain the advantage, and then you're in the driver's seat, because I don't think you want to challenge the likes of TSM's players in a 1-versus-1. And it showed that first round.
Merc wasn't even being droned in for half.
No, he just
kills,
walked in.
He just walked right in. It's entirely possible that we missed it, and the first kill onto Razor was done through drone work, but then everything past that was just instinctive, and it was a pretty standard entry. Goes towards 90, goes up yellow stairs, gets a kill, holds vending machine, gets picked off by the opening that was created in that wall next to vending machine, and then you're just playing to die. I'm a bit bummed that we don't see another Thorn here, because she's an operator whose pick rate has not been particularly high. For those of you that are tuning in, maybe you're a TSM fan and you haven't seen a Thorn active yet. Thorn is out of the operator quarantine, so she is playable. The Irish operator with 3 little razor blooms that go down, and they take a while to detonate, but not only do they do damage, more importantly, they can act as intel, similar to Kapkan traps and goo mines.
Yep, and Illa mines, or the Grismot mines, right? And it's one of those, they work in 2 ways, as you mentioned. They can do damage, they give information, but overall, she also brings that deployable shield. Her weapon hits like a truck on the defensive side of things, almost like an attacker.
It can insta-gib you if you're too close to it.
Yeah?
For those of you, by the way, that don't know what insta-gib is, you have to go back to the old Quake days to really understand what that means. Anyway, I digress.
I didn't understand what that was either, but yeah.
Insta-gib, for those of you that played Quake, Team Fortress 2, that sort of stuff, you'll know what it is. Jesse Chick, obviously, big Team Fortress 2 fan. He's going to know that one. All this is happening, by the way. Spam marks going out in abundance. It's a different bomb site this time around. They don't, but they're still going to play upstairs for Mirage over towards initiation. That's where we saw Benji making what could be his last stand.
Yeah, and we have to extend over or across in this map in particular. We see that Benji now finds something kill off Merc. That's the engagement that you need. You have Prep C4 inside security. If Benji gets pressured, that's Razor down below trying to assist Benji in this extension. But Benji, how long can you stay alive for? Because I doubt you're going to get out here.
Oh, there were too many sights from TSM looking in that direction. Benji gets taken down by Achieved. Looks like this might be that top floor component around Dragon held by TSM. Their pace is a little bit more sluggish than the previous round. There's less than a minute to go. And this is a thrown defense. So the more typical bomb site that we see teams playing off of.
It's interesting. Sorry, Marm has a spare Kite Claw in her pocket that could have arguably been used at night the hatch there, but they chose not to, so they have something else in mind, but they're falling on the side right now.
Well, Merc got a 4K in round number 1. Achieved's got both kills so far in this round. Some heavy lifting from these teams and these individual players. Downstairs in maintenance is Razor. That Nitro Cell might be good if he just needs to pull the trigger, but he's lost his opportunity instead. A gunfight is here waiting for him. He gets Chala off guard, and that's a 3v3, setting us up with 15 seconds to go. Adrenal Surge instinctively goes out. No follow-up from Geo. He opens up the panel wall, and it's Razor again. There's no flank watch for TSM. 2 huge kills from Razor. Down goes Marm. Melted the last line of defense inside of the bomb site, and it's a 1v2, but he can deny the plant. Nicely played by Mirage. Razor wasting enough time while TSM's forces tackle the bomb site. It ends up being just like Doha, a coin toss in the final seconds. And in this case, it goes in favor of Mirage.
Despite the things going so well for Mirage, from the slip-up from TSM and Razor taking good advantage of the lack of information, it still came down to a 2v1. It was so close in that situation. And the kite claw utilization from Mirage, again, wasn't utilized in the hatch. It was a double kite claw on that yellow wall. The wall still got opened up, I believe. That's where TSM entered from. But we see the dub coming out from Mirage, getting that one round on the board, and they can now breathe with a sigh of relief, being like, okay, we're not going to get 6-0 in this half, and we're going to this drug defense, which I personally think is arguably the strongest defensive bomb side on this map, at least with my player experience and playing it in ranked as well, because you can really get so active, and we see it already now. Extension into throne from barrel. You can play first off bathroom, extend up above, rotations everywhere, reinforcements everywhere, and the one key factor here is Tomas on the mute. One jammer on each individual wall. That's super important, and there's no easy way for TSM to get any map control. Chala has to run around like a crazy person with the Maverick, using that torch in so many different locations just to be able to get through the walls. And it's not just the jammers, you also have it paired up with Marm on the Kaid. So Mirage is going to be a slow round, but as I say, that Razor gets active once again. It's Bolo off the board, and this man is showing why he's the #1 player on this team right now.
Well, Bolo's stats on attack were something, again, that was highlighted by the desk. He's an even 2-2. That's good enough, but Razor on Xset. Maybe his potential was squandered on a roster that ended up getting relegated, but in this instance, he is finding new life on Mirage, and if you have a strong supporting cast around him, Razor can steal you rounds, at least what we've seen thus far.
Yeah, and not just that, but I mean, he can steal you games because those few rounds, they add up, and Razor still has a lot to learn and a long way to go, and so does the rest of Mirage. And when people might criticize him the first 2 games they've had so far, both being played on Bank, I don't think the question right now is Mirage a good team? Period. I think the question is, how good can Mirage become in a few months' time? In Stage 2, in Stage 3 of 2022 of NAL, because you need time as a roster together to mesh well, to learn the maps, to build out your strat book, if you will, and just get comfortable on a LAN build, because for some of these players, it's their first time being here.
And Thomas falling off now as he had held that top floor halfway point of round number 3. Mirage, I would argue, putting up a much bigger fight than either you or I expected through these 3 rounds. I know that we discussed before heading into the matchup, depending on what TSM came out fighting, this could be a relatively quick one, given the way that Mirage has played through those first 2 playdays. But it's always such a challenge to try and see what the longer trend line is, because the Sonics have also had a hell of a first 2 games, and I don't think anybody here is expecting them to continue to play as poorly as they have. So for Mirage, a newer team, they need to stay competitive through these rounds. They're not going to do it with Thomas being picked off by Chala. That's 20 seconds burned off of the clock, and a single kill for TSM will even the numbers into a 4v4.
I will say the timing of the flank from Tomas and the contention on the yellow stairs was a bit oddly timed, and there's no follow-up either. Now, well, more people fall aside from grenades up above. That's Merc finding melted. That's going to make their life a bit easier because that's smoke off the server, and Marm follows as well.
And Marm was deep in the middle of the bomb site. That means that the final players from Mirage are going to need to retake. Benji spotted out, and all he can do is fight back with a UMP. Those are dire straits, and you know that he's not in a good position. On a sliver of HP now with 15 seconds to go, Nitrocell topped out by Razor. Hopelessly, nobody's able to prevent Geo from getting the diffuser down. Another kill to Razor's name, but is it impactless? Yes, it is. Merc says that's enough for you, and that's enough for the round for us. TSM goes up 2-1.
Yeah, and that's a swift one. That's off the opening kill from Razor as well. That round from TSM was played 4 versus 5, but when we look at that in retrospect, it didn't seem like they were down in play at any given moment in that round. And again, Tomas flanking that yellow stairs with like 50 seconds left in the round before anything really has been done from the side of TSM in the vertical play is a bit puzzling. Not only are you doing it completely alone and isolated, but also there's no real follow-up. If Tomas had walked up the staircase and found a kill, what's next? Well, he could run back down the yellow stairs, but that doesn't really change the flow of that bomb side or what happened in that round. The few safe positions on the bomb side from the vertical play weren't really used from Mirage either, because 2 players fell from the vertical and then the bomb site was lost. You mentioned it, Parker. The last 2 remaining defenders were roaming off the bomb site and has to play retake. And if that's the situation that occurs, something's going wrong.
The one question mark to me is not Razor playing inside a main lobby. I get that. You're close enough to the bomb site to get back. Marm was in a rock and a hard place in the corner of Drug, underneath where all the floor had been broken up, as you'd seen earlier from Achieved. And I actually wondered if Marm was the player that we saw the silhouette of very briefly right before that nade ended up getting a kill. I believe it was tossed out by Merc. But the man that I was just so curious about was Benji. Playing Castle over inside of Throne, at that point, there was only 17 seconds left in the round. Are you just hoping to play for a retake? Is that your whole goal? Because if so, you're down in numbers, you don't have site control, Marm falls, you need to follow up and try to get back to the bomb site to help out Razor. But the call might have been made, and maybe it's us throwing Benji under the bus when in all reality, it was somebody else making that decision for him. I'm not sure, but still puzzling nonetheless.
It's always a difficult situation when A, you're roaming, when do I fall back, how long do I stick around, and then 2, how long do I keep control of this very important area that is that Armory Throne situation where Benji was finding himself trying to hold down the yellow stairs, because sure, Armory Throne is a very important part of that drug bomb site, but in that particular situation with 17 seconds left, I agree, maybe it's time to surrender that area of the map and get closer to site, but that won't matter this round because we're back on this Kid Storm's defense. Back, sorry.
I was going to say, Nick, we have arrived.
We have four
rounds.
Bomb sites. Sorry, four bomb sites.
4 rounds, we have seen all 4 bomb sites now show up. It's a similar hold, if not a bit of a mirror matchup, as that panel had been opened up previously that you just saw on your screen and was being held on that initiation and office defense, which is probably what you were referencing all the way back in round number 1. So even if it's a different bomb site, you end up with it looking very similar.
Same way,
yes.
And I will say, that was not me mistaken. I just simply messed it up. I even wrote down initiation on my paper here, so I'm just a goof. But either way, you do it the same way. You extend over Schmenchen Parker, and we're looking at this like in reverse. So we're playing on this side of the map instead. We're holding down Prep, we're holding down Kid Storms, and we're holding down Bunk Bets.
Melted up close and personal. Was able to toss out those toxic canisters as need be. I like Merc on this Nook, an operator whose pick rate is not particularly high, has been banned on a number of maps, including Bank that we tend to see. Able to just evade line of sight. Nice shot from Bolo. Benji playing a little bit cheeky with that my disc, but Razor fires right back. If there's anybody on the benches of Mirage who can return fire, it's Razor, and they're going to need another big kill out of him, at least before the remainder of his HP is taken away.
Yeah, they're doing now. Merc creeping up, and they don't know that he's here because it is that Nick operator. He cannot be seen by cameras or anything else, and there's nothing to stop him on that yellow staircase. Toxic Babes coming out, yellow pings as well.
My first time casting since Attacker Repick has been added, and boy, it is a brisk pace.
It's so swift, right? You're going straight into action. That was a 1-minute tactical timeout from Mirage. It still felt rather fast because we're straight into the action. No, reveal phase and 6-pick phase into the drone phase. We're going straight into drone phase. Attacker repick. Attackers can now change all their operations if they want to. And so far, only one change. Geo from Ash to Thermite, keeping it pretty simple so far.
It's interesting because there is that brief reveal phase that we get to see, right? And you look at it and you go, okay, well, TSM isn't actually bringing any hard breachers. That's a bit odd, isn't it? But no, we were psyched out. Geo picked up 2 kills in the final 2 rounds that we just witnessed and is now going to go back onto that old, faithful, and reliable hard breacher. Back down to Throne as the bomb site that worked best for Mirage appears yet again. If Mirage fail to win this bomb site, they can go to it yet again in round number 6. If they win, it's locked, and it gives Mirage 2 rounds both times on the same bomb site. The issues were not here. When, again, I'd like to remind you, TSM lost the round when they failed to account for Razor on flank watch, and guess where Razor is? In the same spot, in security up above, getting droned out at the top of Dragon Stairs, and he manages to get away from that player that TSM had on the windows.
He just liked it, Shift W away, because he said, you know what, I cannot fight this LMG on this tight angle. And Benji, he then chooses to stick around in the same similar position and might find himself the exact same way out as that of Razor. And yep, it's down to first floor of Dragon statue here instead, and back to side we go. Right? We're not going to mess with that too much, but Razor's still actually sticking around. I really respect the guts on this player.
Well, I mean, this is the crucial spot, right? I don't know if they're saying that there's a pre-play C4 there or just showing us that the hatch is broken open, but you've now scared Razor off of that position upstairs inside of security. He's gone back down the Dragon Stairs, might play close to the bomb site. We saw him before. He was in maintenance as well, which is that adjoining L-shaped portion of the map where there is a very high priority for these hard breachers, which is that maintenance wall that leads into the back of Throne. That doesn't seem to be a focal point for TSM right now. We're just past the halfway mark, and TSM is frankly spread out all over this map.
that they have, and we need to keep a track of where TSM will end up using those exothermic charges, because the question that comes to mind is that, do you breach the hatch, or which wall do you breach if you do not do that? And the Thermite gives you the most value, I'd argue, on this bomb site in particular, and that's where Attacker Repeat comes in handy, because you don't want to have Hibana necessarily if you want to get open 2 walls. So TSM making good use of the information.
First contact is achieved versus Thomas, and both of them walk away with a bunch of HP left out. Thomas being hunted down from his position in drug, and it's achieved to start it, but Bolo to finish it off. Thomas 0-5 at this point. For a player that's been hyped up by former teammates so often, that needs to be a better scoreline for him. The man of the hour is Razor, and he'll try to soften up Merc. Benji now waiting for Bolo to walk in, and he will spring his way out of barrels and now move towards the double doors. Mark waiting very patiently, watching, pings through the wall, down goes Melted to a nade, but TSM are wasting time, only 10 seconds to go. Where is your acceleration? Geo taking some damage, but down goes Razor, Benji falls, Merc also off the board. Marm holding court at the back of Throne. Is she the queen for it? Yo, TSM get the kill at the last second. Marm goes down almost as Geo gets the diffuser planted. Throne worked out once for them, but not again for Mirage, and now TSM have won that first half.
Throne so close both times, and now both Mirage and TSM have found success on this both attack and defensive side of things. And one thing I actually really want to point out is, I think it was Jacob himself on the analyst desk before the game said, I want to see Benji assist Razor on this roam and do things together. And in that round, it was Razor and Benji both upstairs in Cash and Dragon balcony playing together. And then later in the round, inside of barrels, they were baiting for one another, right? Razor took the gunfight, then tucked in the corner. And as TSM walked in through barrel door, they got assassinated by Benji, who was there to protect him. So very nicely played, even though it wasn't a round for Mirage. And this now leaves us to the final defensive side for them. They're back where they started, initiation. They're extending the same similar fashion to the west-hand side of the map, and they have not found any success here yet. They need to do it now. On the side of TSM, we see Doka AP being changed into a Flores and Merc changing back to that Diana. So they want to get that soft utility, right? Clear out the shield positions, the reinforced positions, and try and make their way through the map. And I think it's great because when you have enough soft utility, you can choose either side to attack from. As you mentioned, Parker, there's 2 typical approaches, either the cafe side of things on the west side, or the opposite here in the cash balcony on the east. And TSM looks to be favoring the east side so far, but you can of course rotate through the roof as there are 2 hatches available to you that you can blow up open and then drop down.
Well, both Thomas and Razor look to be shoulder to shoulder. There goes the hatch inside of security. The control panel shown. Bolo getting droned on in. He's down below. 2 nades in the hands of Finka, and this explosive meta that we found ourselves in, where grenades are by far and away the most useful secondary gadget for the attacking lineup, as you can see, being brought out in spades by TSM. 6 grenades available, and then 6 flashbangs, which actually work quite well now, but can also clear out any discs or ADSs that we see. And look at this, Bolo's gonna walk up, and he actually misses it. Oh, Bolo, no. Razor manages to avenge his teammate, but not before Thomas goes 0-6 in the first half, and Razor gets away with half of his HP gone. Almost a kill, almost 2 kills rather for Bolo there as he gets, let's call it a kill and a half.
Yeah, kill and a half, a little bit shaky there for a moment, but I would say overall it's a victory for TSM because yes, they got the one opening kill, but also they forced Razor back off of this position, now allowing the rest of TSM to take the map control, so the entry did the job. I will say, losing Finka, the adrenal surges, the grenades, etc. He did use the Gun 6 on that staircase barbed wire. It's not the end of the world. Merc, however, says, you know what, let's get some more value for our money's worth here, and he takes down the second player, that is Benji, the 1 Mai off the board. Now that is a pretty high value kill because the discs might not all have been tossed out.
And both of these denial operators are gone. Their gadgets will still persist. The ADSs will reset on their own, and the magnets will live until they get eaten by either a flashbang or a nade used by TSM. Plenty of time for TSM to use these secondary gadgets. Yeah, they've lost 2 sets of nades from the Finka. 1 goes out from the sledge. Marm gets her very first kill. Almost a first half where Mirage had 2 players go without a single kill on the board. Marm with 1 to her name. There was another as well from Mirage to give them a numbers advantage into this 3v2. TSM won a 5v1 first half. Timeout's already been burned. In through the smoke is achieved. Oh, he misses out. And it's the double M combo, M and M of Melted and Marm, to hold down the fort. They pick up the final 4 kills of the round and somewhat salvage that first half. Still, TSM emerge up 4-2. This is the disrespect. The disrespect.
Damn.
That's hurtful.
So, if you showed me that clip and you blurred out the name, we would have never guessed that was Bolo of all players that were firing that half magazine of an LMG, hitting only 5 of those bullets, right? We would have never guessed that, but it happens, right? It is the first match of the day. It's still early for the gamers here, and to be honest, it just happens, right?
It happens.
Anyone. It does.
Sometimes you blow a tire. That's
Sometimes
it.
you blow a tire.
Sometimes you blow a tire
Sure.
and you miss it. That's all.
Yeah.
So
I will say for Bolo, though, I'm not sure if it looked, having an LMG there, was that a good thing or a bad thing? Because, yes, he managed to get the kill firing so many bullets, but he also had so many bullets to fire that he could miss even more. So maybe sometimes LMGs aren't overpowered, Parker. Maybe sometimes they're actually working against you.
Stop it. It's nothing to do with the LMG. It had to do with the sight.
Or it was the scope?
The scope, yes.
Okay.
That's what it has to do.
What scope's the best? Actually, I haven't asked you this. What is your favorite 1x scope now that you can choose freely?
Who cares? I'm a caster.
You just said the scope matters.
Yeah, because
So
if
you
you're
should
using,
care.
Because if you're using a high magnification scope, it's going to make it harder to hit targets at close range, Nick. I'm sorry, aren't you?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry. Aren't you a back-to-back 2-time world champion? Shouldn't you know that?
I think zoom scopes are great for that. Whenever you can use them, you should be using them.
You don't need to be Fabian at all to know that you want to go with closer, smaller sights when you're in close range.
But you can't just choose when you're taking a close fight. So, like, you gotta choose the overall arcing goal of the round, right? And that overall arcing goal is to get the opening kill right now, and Benji does this. Then it's Bolo. We just said is the man's name, and now, unfortunately, he has to be on cam duty.
And there's a number that we will continue to reference for the remainder of this matchup. As now TSM sits down a player, it's Bolo. 0.35, that is Bolo's rating on defense. Another body will join him in the grave. That's achieved to go down to none other than Razor. Razor leading the way at the moment. Benji having a very strong game. And again, if there are win conditions for Mirage, Benji showing up is absolutely one of them.
Certainly, and I know that Theme Park has only been played once so far here in Stage 1 of the NAL 2022 season. There was TSM OXG, but in that single game, it actually an attacker favorite. Oh, we're rushing side.
Okay, well, they're just in the middle of the bomb site. Razor cleans up, and these players from TSM have been boxed out. Next one to go down is Geo. It's Merc in a 1v5. And what do you do at this point? Do you save the KD? Flashes reigns supreme. He knows there's one over by split. It's Thomas. Thomas picks up his very first kill. Razor is pumped.
Damn.
And there's one round separating these two teams.
All right, so what I was about to say before that just occurred is that, yes, this map has only been played once, but it's a 55% attacker win rate so far against a 45% defender win rate. And what a beautiful read and call out from this side of Mirage saying, we know there's at least one roamer, we can overpower them through this dragon door, running through side, we got the operators, we got the weapons, and you know what? We got the confidence as well. And it's a flawless round two, opening up your attacking side on Theme Park, which we expect to be difficult from the side of Mirage, is a phenomenal way to do it, to really gain the confidence to say, let's do it again. And you'll have to.
I mean, confidence is key. The calling from Mirage there, after they got those first two picks, the nade goes in, blows up Bolo. Achieved pushes up to try and stop the advance of Mirage. Not necessarily a bad play at that point.
No.
We see these, what you want to call them, desperate attempts, if you want to say that. When you are down numbers, it's a 3v5, it's a 2v5, and somebody swings or peeks, and you sit there and you go, why are you doing that? Because you need to take chances at that point. If you're sitting there in a 3v5, you're going to get overrun most of the time unless the bomb site works in your favor. There are exceptions, of course.
Yeah.
In that instance, TSM decides, let's try to even the numbers out. It doesn't work. They go down a 3v5, and Mirage immediately pivots and says, we have the opportunity to push into the bomb site. Let's do just that. And it worked out wonderfully.
It did. And call them desperate plays, call them hero plays, whatever it might be, but you are correct. When you're down manpower, your job as a team is to try and leverage it back so that you can even up the numbers. And there are many ways to do it, right? It could be through single-hand aggression, it can be through a flank, it can be through a multitude of factors such as a coordinated aggressive attack from multiple members. But either way, you got to act in one way or another, otherwise you will slowly just get, you know, choked out in the round.
Or run over.
Or run over, just shove
Whatever horrific graphic comparison you want to use, metaphor, etc.
Can be slow or fast. That's the bottom line.
I am enjoying seeing all of these Thorn plays, but I don't know if the gadget has really been that integral to the success for the defenders. What I will say is that her Uzi, the gun that she uses, is phenomenal.
It is.
And a lot of players, especially at the high level, find it to be a very comfortable gun to use. The thing feels like it hits like a truck. It sounds great, very limited recoil, easy to control. And that was the operator that Marm was on when she got the 2K to seal the deal on that very final round of the first half.
I do think that Ella would be a nice operator for most teams to use if she had the UC weapon, but the weapon difference between the Scorpion and the UC just really favors Thorn in this case, because they both bring a deployable shield. They're so important on this map to allow for these extensions, to allow some areas to be safe. But when Benji is on the board, nowhere is safe for TSM.
That's a very first kill, but a follow-up from Achieved. He claims Diffuser as well on Marm inside of Cash, and out goes a Nitro Cell towards the other portion of Cash, but not hitting its mark. Mirage get in, they lose their hard breach, they lose the diffuser, they get out. Nobody has retrieved it, it's still sitting there. But cue the Jaws music, because Melted is creeping up in the hallway, and I'm not sure if anybody had any information on his position.
Comes down to Achieved here with the shotgun in hand. Can protect the case, but it's been picked up again. But then again, it goes on the ground. Benji off the board, and that's a huge member from the side of Mirage. A good trade from Melted, though, evens back the numbers. But 33 seconds left, they gotta do more.
Very winnable situation for Mirage as they find Bolo as well. Chala and Geo to try and clutch this out. Thomas taking some damage. Sitting on these bomb chassis, there's an opening created by Geo. Diffuser picked back up. If Mirage want to get this diffuser down, then Melted will be vulnerable, leaving Razor and Thomas to cover. Looking for double digits is
TSM can actually kind of change that up and find the first victory on the defensive side of the bomb side. And it's a similar story to that of Mirage. They're extending up above, they're extending over and out, trying to gain as much map control as possible, and then forcing Mirage to choose how they want to approach the map. And then you can flexibly play around that if you're TSM. I think the main factor here is if TSM don't get opening picked very early on and keep that numbers advantage, or equal numbers rather, then they can actually play the clock down. Whereas if you fall early, I think Mirage will just bulldoze through.
Well, site setup still going on now as we are into live action. One operator I really want to focus on, and a player in particular who has been carrying the weight for his team, is Razor playing Osa. Now, how do you see an Osa get played out on this bomb site in particular? You've got two of those shields to put down. Where are they going?
It's actually interesting because I don't think Osa is that great of an operator for this particular attack. I would assume you use it for the roam clear, or kind of like as that multi-entry shield trying to gain information. If I had to put the shield somewhere, to be completely honest with you, Parker, I actually don't know. I think you would have to reach close to the bomb site to get it used. It will be a Munty usage right now, trying to take a fade. That's a start.
And look at that. Razor, not exactly the result that they wanted. Bolo is the one to take on the hordes of Mirage, bursting through Cafe. Half of the HP of Osa's been wasted away. More, actually, because there was an adrenal surge to go, and maybe give a little bit more HP to Razor.
There's the first shield. So, Melted. Open and kill. This is TSM falling again rather early in the round, and this nade will clear that deployable shield. Merc, he just ran in front of his teammate and got taken down. Tomas follows through. It's 3 to fall from TSM.
Oh, get out the brooms, because right now Mirage is sweeping through this TSM roster. Achieved, looking the wrong way, and it was a long wait, but if you're a fan of Mirage, and since then, 4 rounds in a row by Mirage. The numbers are quite good. They have every single opening pick except for back in round number 6 when it was a draw, essentially. They traded out immediately. Round 7, flawless round. Got Diffuser down. Round 8, opening pick. Won the round quite confidently. Round 9, opening pick, flawless. They won it so flawlessly, they couldn't even start to plant the Diffuser. And, hey, Well, we were a bit critical of Mirage not using that attacker repick. Every single player but Benji used the attacker repick, and guess what's being brought to the battlefield? Razor off of Osa onto a Fuse, and Adokabi being brought as well. You better not stop to try and turn off your phone because those Fuse charges, well, they're going to rain down on you. Also, Fuse has the advantage of also being a hard breacher. 2 of the can opener gadgets coming on board the Russian operator. So there's lots that Mirage can do with this.
That there has been, and by the way, TSM before this match started has 0 plans on the board on their attacking side. I believe they planned it once in this matchup so far, if I'm not mistaken, but it's a different kind of playstyle that we've seen from TSM than that of the past, whereas Mirage is an entirely new situation, right? And I'm very impressed with Razor being the flex player for his team because I would try and give this person as much freedom as possible in the fragging department where you say, what gun do you want to play, Razor? Oh, F2? Go crazy. But he's playing the Osa, the Fuse, and sure, they have good weapons, but the main kit lies in the gadgetry and how you can help your teammates approach the game, and honestly, he's been doing a great job so far.
First logic bomb goes off. Nobody there to capitalize from Mirage just yet. This is a throne defense for TSM, so a throne take will have to come out for Mirage. Benji and co. right now over towards Dragon security, and an initiation is melted as he continues to move towards the cafe side of the map and has put down an air jab at the doorway that leads into initiation. So if you're Bolo or anybody else on TSM, the route for a flank, potentially fraught with peril, your position's going to be given away. You're going to be knocked over by that air jab unless you can impact it or take care of it.
And I don't think you're going to take the full map control. This air jabs indicates a limited take from the side of Mirage. They only want the half of the map on your right-hand side of your screen. The left-hand side they do not care for. But Benji gets found by Merc, sniped from the bomb side. Now giving TSM the opening pick for the first time in 5 rounds.
Tactical timeouts tend to pay dividends almost immediately. TSM just took their timeout the round before, and it allows Merc a little bit more confidence. He's now joined double digits as well. He and Razor standing at 10 kills apiece. Just under a minute to go. Mirage down Benji, so no adrenal surges. As was pointed out, that was also the only set of nades that were on the board for Mirage. Neither of them used. So the explosive potential, no more there. But now look at this. Razor able to set down one of those cluster charges. And Marm walking in, taking out Chala. Merc is still playing over by split. Down goes Thomas. Plant going down. Merc, you need to stop it in time. Oh, but there's a blind spot, and Merc exploits it. Diffuser goes down, and it's a clean sweep of the bomb site. TSM taking the 3 players from Mirage for a ride, and they'll sit on the Diffuser as well to bounce back. The lead for Mirage short-lived as TSM pick up their 5th round.
And they needed that so badly. It's Merc actually to find just not only the opening pick, but also how to end off the round on a success. It was a nice exploration of strategy from the side of Mirage. And I was thinking to myself, when we saw the Fuse being brought up from Razor, how are they going to utilize this operator on a bomb site which has almost no vertical damage to be done, especially on the throne side? There is none at all. It's a rotation all the way across the map, single-handedly, all alone from Razor to barrel, where you put down that Fuse charge, and it'll force the throne player away from that location. That was Merc. That missed timing and the blind spot created for the side of Mirage, I think losing Benji early created an issue for them where they said, well, one guy has to plant and then one guy has to flank. That was Razor. So when you lose that opening pick, you're just down one player, down one gun, and that blind spot was essentially created because the Dragon player was Benji, who died early on. So Merc really opened up the round for himself and his team, and now a tied back 5-5. Nobody is in the lead.
I like this cheeky showing of the Nook. Now Melted obviously swapping off to go with the Ace. This is a much more suitable lineup from Mirage prior to. There were some interesting picks that were in there, Nick, and we'd talked about the Fuse, we talked about the Osa, Razor reunited with Yana, a much more sensible lineup, and Mirage have tons of tools at their disposal. Look at this, lots of soft destruction. That's 6 breaches.
Yeah.
You got a Zofia as well with 2 of those explosives. You got 2 grenades in the hands of Benji, 2 grenades in the hands of Razor. This is a very destruction-heavy lineup from Mirage.
It is, and even get the flashbangs and thermite to get that ADS clear, not opting to go for the smoke grenades because you want 3 instead of 2, and they keep bringing that insurance policy of double heart breach. It was the fuse with the heart breach secondary gadget, and it was the thermite, now it's the thermite and the ace, and I like that because if you lose your heart breach, it's almost like being back in year 1 of Siege. The round is over, no walls can be opened up, but then again, the way TSM are playing these defensive rounds, they have a lot of soft walls and rotations because they want to extend out. So I'd almost argue that losing your heart breach isn't the end of the world, but of course, having it available will always help you out. TSM is holding on. Mirage playing it slower now. As we're getting closer and closer to match point for one of these teams, well, pressure's building, right? We're no longer rushing in, taking gunfights every single area of the map. We're waiting, setting up, droning, and communicating what is the next step. But when you're defending as TSM, it favors you running down that clock because you want the timer to hit 0.
Merc in this power play position right next to the vending machine. He's got a long line of sight through initiation, or through office rather, into the shower stalls. Some of it's been opened up now in this cash wall, allowing Benji to look back in that same direction. But with the way Merc has been playing today, I don't know if you want to engage him in a direct gunfight or not. Bit of hesitation right now for the Finka. A minute to go, and a bullet whizzes past his head. They know that somebody from TSM is playing over there by the top of yellow stairs.
They can't get in. They're stuck right now. Mirage, they have to just pull that go trigger at some point. The nade is nice, it opens it up, but what else follows through?
That's a beautiful nade to displace Chala, force him to take the initiation, and now Merc goes down as well. Benji knew that he was there, and he capitalizes off of that pick. Melted taking damage as TSM will hold on to try to weather the storm, but they are falling. The first domino, and then many more after it. It's Razor to pick up a kill on a Geo, and Bolo's gone as well. Achieved, reascending on yellow stairs. He's good enough for 1 kill. There's a lot more to be found. 30 seconds to go. Diffuser going down. Nitro Cell in the hands of Achieved. If he gets the right call, he could possibly stop it in its tracks. He gets the wrong target, but one nonetheless. Diffuser planted. Damage done to both Razor and Melted, but the clock now working against TSM. Mirage can taste match point. All you have to do is shut down Achieved. Not an easy task to be done. Down goes Razor. So well played by Achieved. But now this is where things get difficult. The 2 last players from Mirage far enough back that Achieved will have to figure out their location. Oh, and he does! But he doesn't win the duel to Marm. Oh my goodness, it's match point Mirage, Nick.
We're getting close. We're getting real close, and it looks so troublesome for them because they could not find the opening. And slowly, they communicated to every location of every member of TSM and said, you know what? This one person inside that China location can get grenaded from the long hallway and flush him into the line of sight of the player inside security. And they did just that. And once that went through, it was an aggressive follow-up from all the members of Mirage. They found 2 picks, and then TSM, they could not hold them back any longer. It's Druck, it's map point, it's TSM fighting for at least 1 point.
This Mirage roster have never tasted a victory in the NAL, and they are 1 round away. The only worrying sign for them is that if TSM wins this round, it goes to overtime. You don't have a lot of wiggle room. You got to win this round, or else TSM pushes you into OT. Still, I would honestly argue, heading into this matchup, Mirage going to OT against TSM, that's a victory.
Yeah.
That, to me, is a significant win for this team. And as was talked about during our tech pause many, many moons ago, it doesn't matter what happens in this round, doesn't matter what happens if we go to overtime in those 2 to 3 rounds that follow. This matchup has shown that TSM still have some glaring weaknesses, and they struggle domestically time and time again. Stage after stage, they do not have an indomitable record like some of their counterparts here. Mirage have exploited some of these weaknesses, and Theme Park is not TSM's map through the 2 playdays that we've seen of them on it.
It's not. But one thing that that might actually change this round's outcome is Achieved. Bringing out the Goyo. It's the first time we've seen in this matchup, I believe, and those fire canisters now. So just to give you guys a little bit of a what's happened since last time is that Goyo no longer has 2 deployable shields that has a fire canister attached to it. He has 4 canisters that he can put anywhere on the map, almost like an ADS on a wall, and you can pop it, shoot it, impact it, destroy it, whatever, and fire will come out of it for 20 seconds for each canister. And they're doing this strategy where they're going to be slowing down the push on Cafe. They're there are 2 canisters, one on the left side of the door, one on the right. Achieve gets the opening kill, and Bolo's position is fortified with ADSs and magnets everywhere.
Doesn't bode well for Mirage to lose Melted so early on. You've still got a hard breacher left in the hands of Marm on Hibana, who's heated up, and there's Thomas.
What?
Speaking of heating up, at one point he was 0-6. He's now 7-8, and he's cleared out Bolo off site. These defensive struggles of Bolo continue. He had 5 kills in the first half. He's only got a single kill since then. This is a problem for TSM. At least you have managed to even the numbers out. There's half the round to go. Mirage are the ones who need to bring that diffuser into the bomb site, escort it in, get the job done. Or you go to OT.
The thing is, this changes everything, because that was, all the eggs in one basket TSM approach. And when Tomas is dropping down the hatch, punishing the fact that no one from TSM is supporting Bolo on this position, that's just going to buy them so much extra time that normally they would lose. The 2 canisters that are put inside of Cafe are still there. They have not been popped, but the ones in the side, they will from the vertical.
I just saw some of the flames go out, so a bit of staying power that TSM could have, because as you said, that's 20 seconds. Those are an eternity in this game. It might as well feel like an entire round. Some of the destruction above Merc is giving his position away, but he doesn't have to give up anything at all. There's Geo on the flank to take out Thomas. All of a sudden, overtime looking very, very likely. Mirage will scramble. Marm outside of the building to get towards the bomb site with that diffuser in hand, leaving Benji and Razor to do the cleanup work. And they're doing that. Marm taking matters into her own hands. Chala falls after achieved. And it's Geo and Merc. Merc in the corner. He takes down Benji, evading the fire. Diffuser goes down. 45 seconds to determine if Mirage walk away with their first victory of the NAL in 2022. And it's looking even more likely. She's made quite a statement. She takes down Merc, and Marm is looking for more, but it's Razor to get the very final kill. Howls erupt from the benches as Mirage take their first win of the year.
They did it. It's the first win. They get 3 points. They took down TSM on theme park of all maps. I had my doubts.